Hey there guys, Mac Junkie here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video we're taking a look at the LG Wing. Now I've had the LG Wing since the beginning of November, so I've had it for a couple months, and it released in mid-October. Now of course after all the hype has been dissipated, everybody gets over the fact that it does this. How does the phone actually stack up? And I actually have a couple concerns. Now, one of the main issues I had, and a lot of other people had, was durability. And that's the same question that goes for folding phones as well as other phones. This phone seems to be a little bit better off because the parts don't fold. They only swivel open and close. But if you listen, there's a little bit of give. I don't know if you can see it wiggling there. There's a little bit of give, but it doesn't feel like it's going to break or anything. It's just noticeable. And it didn't do that when I first received the phone. After using it for a couple months, keeping it in my back pocket, I've sat on it a couple times with my weight. I'm treating it like a normal phone, and it has gotten a little bit loose, but obviously no cracks, and the thing still opens and closes perfectly fine. One thing though is when the phone is closed, that noise doesn't sound very good. I don't know what it is exactly. It seems to be coming from like in between the screen. But that noise just, it doesn't sound good to my ears, so that's one of the other concerns I had. But concerns aside, the phone still works. Obviously, it's not waterproof. You guys probably know all of this already. But what I want to talk about is the outlook of this phone. The sales of this phone were very unfortunate. LG projected to sell around 2 million, and they've only sold 50,000 up to this point, which is a really sad number. I personally usually root for LG when they're in their endeavors, because LG does tend to be the innovators in the smartphone scene, even though they hold such a small market share. They always innovate with phones. This is proof right here. They were the first phones with wide-angle cameras. They're the phones that refuse to remove the headphone jack, except for this one, of course. But if any phone has an excuse to remove the headphone jack, I think it's this and folding phones. Either way, I think every phone should just have a damn headphone jack. I mean, come on. But easily, this is one of the only LG phones that doesn't have a headphone jack, and it rose some concerns, and LG said, don't worry, our flagship phones, our normal slab phones, are still going to have headphone jacks, which is something that I always commend LG for. We have yet to see if they're going to remove chargers from the box like the S21 Ultra, which is what I'm currently filming this on right now. Is going to, or did, they already did it with this like little slim box here. By the way, video on S20 Ultra, or S21 Ultra, so used to saying S20 Ultra. S21 Ultra video is coming out soon. I don't see the outlook of this being too well. As you guys know, the phone has a Snapdragon 765G, so it is a 5G capable phone, but it's a 7 series Snapdragon processor, which means it does have mid-range performance at best. But I'm not usually playing games on my phone, so it doesn't matter. And one of the things that I use the most with this phone is when I'm in the car, I'll open things like Maps and Music or YouTube and Google or something like that. Not while I'm driving. I won't do YouTube and Google while I'm driving. But I also have a music channel, so I'll open up my equalizer down here, and I'll have like the equalizer down here, and I'll be looking for a thumbnail like nature. I'll usually find some like mountain or something. And use that as like a thumbnail background for the song. This phone is an absolute multitasking beast. Not to the same degree as the Z Fold 2, because the Z Fold 2 sort of has that dual screen real estate, while this has a 1.5 screen sort of deal. But really, I don't think there would be much of a difference anyway, because when you're, I think the way most people will use a phone like this is when they're driving. I think Uber drivers would love this phone. You got your GPS, you got your music controls, you're all set. You could have your Uber on one app, you have your GPS on another. It's just a really great multitasking phone. Now I want to talk about cameras, because the cameras on this phone are actually pretty decent. Of course, you guys have probably seen, some people call it gimmicky, and after I got over the fact, I actually tend to agree with the fact that this swivel gimbal, I guess we'll call it. See, like I can kind of move. Sorry, there's a bunch of playing card stuff for when I do magic tricks on Omegle. You can kind of move that camera frame around with the joystick, and it's pretty cool. But something that you get over pretty quickly once you realize the quality of it is actually pretty subpar. since it crops in, so I believe it's this camera sensor, since it crops in so far on the sensor, one, you can only film in 1080p, which is already kind of grainy. Two, the footage always looks noisy, even during the day. I've done video tests of this in very brightly lit indoor environments and outdoor tests, and it always looks a little fuzzy and grainy. Even for 1080p, it looks weird. I'll shoot on the main camera, and 1080p will look better. So as far as the gimbal camera, unless you just need stable footage, and that's all you need, and you don't care about the noisy quality, then that'll work for you. But for the most part, the camera gimbal in gimbal mode like this is kind of a gimmick. The cameras themselves are pretty average, I would say. They aren't like anything too crazy, but they aren't awful. They don't produce horrible images. Let me see if I can find an image on here. Hold on. For example, a couple weeks ago, I went up to Jump Creek. That's a little place here in Idaho, a little area. Since it's January, it wasn't very, you know, beautiful and green or anything, but it does pretty well. I mean, the camera that's recording is actually overexposing this a little bit. The exposure is actually really nice on this image all across the board. And overall, the camera takes very usable and pleasing shots. There's nothing to really complain about until you get to low light. I don't actually have any low light photos, unfortunately, but low light is a very big downside on this phone. The low light camera performance is pretty subpar, but I'm not usually a person who takes low light photos, and photos like this are very serviceable. They look really good. And as far as all that goes, I think the only thing we got to really talk about now is the speakers, or the speaker, we should say. There's only one bottom firing speaker right here. There's no top firing speaker. And honestly, I mean, I can't knock the phone for that since it freaking does this. But if you look, let me see if I can get the camera focusing on there. You can see there's a little speaker grill. There's a little speaker grill right there. And that actually shoots up through, if I open the phone and flip it over, you see this little divot. The speaker lines up with this, and it shoots the audio through the glass here, and that's what you use when you're taking phone calls. It's really loud, it sounds great, but unfortunately it isn't ever in use when you're watching a YouTube video or anything. All the audio comes out of here. That's something I noticed instantly when I started using the S21 Ultra, how the audio on the speakers on the S21 Ultra are just, they completely destroy this. Now, I don't use my phone speakers very often, but it's something I did notice, even when getting notifications. The S21 Ultra sounds so much more full and incredible, really, for a smart speaker, or for a smartphone speaker. Sounds great. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the outlook for this phone. I guess the last thing we could talk about is LG's software support, which is very, very subpar. Usually you're lucky if you get 2 updates on a LG phone, two Android OS updates. Like, for example, my LG G7 is still on Android 9 Pine. It launched with Oreo. Still haven't gotten an update to Android 10. Doubt it's ever going to come. This phone launched with Android 10 right as Android 11 came out. And they said Android 11 is going to come to this phone in Q3 of 2021. So it's going to be a while. But that's the only announced update. And since this phone performed so poorly in sales, which is unfortunate, I thought it was a really innovative design. Since the phone performed so poorly in sales, I doubt there's going to be an Android 12 update for this phone. Unfortunately, that's just how it usually rolls with LG. But that's pretty much it, guys. The LG Wing, sort of an underdog. I wish it sold a little bit better. I've definitely enjoyed this phone a lot, but my durability concerns are the reason that I am upgrading, unfortunately. I just can't rely on this phone to function, you know, a year or 2 down the line if it's already doing noises like this after just a month and a half of usage. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you guys in your buying decision. Just taking a look at this phone after all the hype disappeared and after all everybody freaking out about it doing this went away, and we can take a look at it, you know, normally and give it a critical review. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like on the video. If you liked it a lot, subscribe as well. I'll see you in the next video.